talk about, just a lot to get to. And if you want, hi everybody, welcome to
Let's
the
talk about
conversation.
love, health and wellness, transformation, yeah, we got it. Discuss your breakthroughs, national
Our local
issues.
Bahamians and also
The
with
show will
those who are
take
listening around the
you
region and the
there,
world this
yeah.
afternoon. Thank you.
Taking it
Absolutely,
step by
absolutely. We have
step,
an audience that really
living your
from
best
Europe to
life,
the United
yeah.
States, Canada,
Getting
around the region, and of
stronger
course,
and living
Bahamians
longer. Let's figure
right
out the
here who are
questions,
very
oh
interested in
yeah.
just
I need
wanting
a
to know
little
the answers and ask the
conversation.
questions that get
You
them
need
the
a little
answers that they seek.
conversation
Before
when
we
you
introduce
need a little inspiration. And talk about it on the conversation.
This is a
When
time,
you need a little
Shenique, when the
motivation,
country really
life is
need
better on the
to find ways
conversation.
to
Tune
join
into
together
the
to fight common
conversation.
problems that we have.
I need a little
Collaborative leadership.
conversation. You need a little conversation. We can go far with the conversation. Here with Shenique on the conversation, yeah.
that, please share the video, share, tag some people in the live feed, share it in your private Facebook group, share it in your WhatsApp groups.
Here with
Let me get
Shenique on the conversation. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the conversation. Welcome to a brand new week here on the show. It's going to be a busy week. And so make sure you're drinking. In fact, I should have had something, but make sure you're hydrated. You're drinking your energy drinks, clean energy, matcha, all that stuff. Because yeah, we're gonna be super busy this week with a lot going on. Welcome to the show. How's everybody doing? Good afternoon to everybody who's already in the live stream. Good afternoon to you, Natheria, Dolores. Good afternoon to the Gano Davis. Good afternoon. Hi, everybody who I have not even seen. Good afternoon to you. Thank you, Victoria. Good afternoon to you. Those of you I am missing, please do pardon me, but welcome to the conversation. Hot Topics Monday on a Monday afternoon. Again, an incredibly busy week here, and we're going to get it done all with your help and your participation. It's so good to have you all streaming today. As you come in, listen, do a couple of things for us. Help us out here. Click like and share. Like and share. That will absolutely help us out a great deal, have more people to see the video and help get the video, the shows out there. So click like and click share. Thank you all very much. Also share it in your Facebook groups, your WhatsApp groups, and just, just push it out there. And so once again, welcome to the conversation. You all by now have seen the video that happened Saturday of the police shooting in Sunshine Park. The gentleman was killed on the scene. And a number of people are asking about, when is police force too much? What are the procedures? What is it that officers are required to do when they get on a scene, when it's really a judgment call, and it has to happen like that? And so it's a lot. I know a lot of us tend to want to jump in and maybe immediately criticize, but sometimes it's good to hear maybe from an expert opinion or somebody who has had to face it themselves. And so we certainly want to hear and get to the bottom of it, because it was disturbing for many people to watch it and see it. And so we want to understand, what is it that a police officer is faced with when he has to go on a scene, when he has to act immediately and maybe think later, or do both at once, act and think. And so it's a lot. I know what's happened in the United States several times. Recently, you all remember when a police officer was called to a scene where a teenager was about to stab another, and the police officer, he got there and he made a snap decision in order to, I guess, save one young lady's life. He then made a decision to shoot the lady with the knife in her hands, and he came under heavy fire for that. And then his colleagues, Black colleagues, began speaking out and saying, wait a minute, hold up, you all don't quite understand what goes into having to go on the scene, on the streets, and having to assess a situation within seconds and make a decision within seconds. And so it's a lot to kind of weigh in, and it's a lot to sort of juggle and balance. And so today we want to see exactly what are Bahamian police officers thinking, because many people feel immediately when they saw that video, oh my God, another police shooting. Oh my God, these police are too trigger happy. Oh my God, the police, etc. And so I'm very happy this afternoon again to have around the table or across the phone from me Stephen Dean, who is a former senior assistant commissioner of police. Stephen Dean, who now is a security expert along with his own security firm. And he is also still an industry expert, going out there speaking, lending his expertise to a number of agencies, including his own, and also very much aware of police procedure, very much aware. And so, Mr. Dean, it's wonderful seeing you. Good afternoon to you. Welcome to the conversation. Listen, that video for us was shocking. For you, I know it's you've been on the police force for quite a number of years. And so we want to just start out by saying, what we saw that looked like a movie. What can you say? Like, what can you tell us about response and procedure and that kind of thing?
Well, good afternoon, Shenique, and thank you for welcoming me back on to share. Always a pleasure to share with our Bahamian people and to provide the necessary education. I don't seem to know it all, claim to know it all, but I could share based on my experience. I think so.
Yes, sir.
The video, you know, what we are in a changing time. Policing has changed. Incidents that like this might have happened in the past, but there was no recording of it.
Yes.
You have heard reports where police said they were confronted by suspects, but no recording of it. And so each case is judged on its own merit. It depends on what the officer is facing. If an officer is being fired upon, they have to respond. They have to respond, and they should respond because you are trained. You are giving all kind of different scenarios that if you're in scenario A, B, or C, this is how you react. So there's no question about training goes on. So there's no indiscriminate just shooting. So what happens when an incident kicks in, the training aspect kicks in also. That what you were taught, what you were practicing for, this is the likely scenario. Because two things you have to look at. Is there imminent threat to your life? Is there imminent threat to members of the public? And so that is the suspect going to give up once they see the police? If a suspect is not giving up once they see the police or either to any command, an officer cannot be guessing as to let him fire off several shots at me first, and then I would respond.
So that is when it becomes a matter of, wait a minute, either this guy gonna get me first or one of us first, or we gonna get him, especially if a command was issued and the person may have not heeded to it.
And there's sometimes there's no time for command to be issued. If a shot is being fired, you have to respond right away. You cannot just say, stop firing, please. You understand, so to speak. I'm trying to put it in layman's term as much as humanly possible. An officer cannot say that. So each case is on its own merit, and persons might have seen a portion. See, if you have to look at all angles of the video, you might have seen that video where an officer was just firing. No one saw what the suspect was doing. Right. You know, at least there's no evidence out in public domain of
we didn't see the other angle of it, like you said, what perhaps that showed what the suspect was doing before he was fired on.
And that is critical. When your life is in danger, Shenique, and you're being fired upon, you might say, I should just fire once, I should just fire twice, I just would fire 3 times.
And that is that's the next question, because the criticism also was, okay, well, dang, okay, they fired once, maybe twice. Why was it necessary to fire so aggressively so much?
You must understand that some weapons are automatic weapons. Once you pull the trigger, not just one round comes out. It goes into automatic fashion in some cases. All right. So that could give an account for the type of weapon that is being fired. That can account. You might hear rapid gunshots as if the officer was putting his hand on the trigger every time. You know, so he can put his hand on the trigger once and several shots comes out.
Talk about what is the mindset of a police officer when they are called to a scene and they already know or maybe they came up on a scene and they assess it, much like what we saw played out with all angles in the United States, where that officer came there, saw this teenager about to stab another one and made a call. What is the mindset of an officer? What is he thinking when he shows up on a scene like that, or an aggressive, hostile scene?
Well, to say what a mindset of an officer, like I still say, Shenique, a case is on its own merit, because it could be different mindsets. All right. But I'm going to tell you, when you get that call, say suspect is armed, It's a dangerous situation. Your adrenaline just kicks in. You just have to start thinking. If you're in your car with your partner, you're devising a plan. You're saying, when you get close and you determine what you see, you say, this is what we do, A, B, C, or you cover me. We're going to approach from this angle. This is how we're going to approach it. So each case is on its own merit, but I'm going to tell you, your adrenaline is moving. You're in a high operation mood all of a sudden. So you up to another level of combat. You're ready for combat and whatever it is. Because the reality, Shenique, you don't know if you're going to survive. If you're going to survive too, you don't know. So people don't understand that if you feel that your life is threatened, nobody really wants to die a certain way. I guess people want to go to sleep and die, but nobody wants to die in combat. So, and then you got to determine whether there are other suspects too. You might see one suspect. There could be a case of the person might have partners. So all these things you have to take into account to look at the threat level that exists.
Wow, this is just, it's a lot. And that is why I said, sometimes before the police, of course, continue to come under fire. We know that. And many people feel as though, dang, that's pretty excessive. But also just based on what made me more aware was the same case I gave to you a minute ago, that example, when it was like, really, we don't know. We don't know. And these officers too are fearful or certainly in a state of high adrenaline when they go on a scene, when they decide to respond to a call. And do you think that what is happening in terms of a number of recent police shootings in the Bahamas that it's doing, the public has now begun to form an opinion. The public has begun to assume a posture. Do you think it's fair on the officers?
Well, I will tend to some degree, being honest, have a little, because of my experience, my bias there might seem some little bias there along that line. I think officers who are sacrificing for country, going out for above and the call of duty, no one wants to feel ridiculed. No one wants to feel that kind of way. I think most cases we want to get praises from the public, yes, but we must understand too that public give criticism, and we shouldn't take that to bed with us. We shouldn't take that in or walk around with that. Sometimes we might look at it and say, is this warranted? Let's look at it. Let's examine it, as the case may be. So it varies about what it is. I don't think nobody wants criticism, but it's a changing world, Shenique. People are watching what's happening in the U.S.
People are watching, and recording and everything else.
Yeah. So people are watching, and so people will question and have been questioned in the past, police-involved shooting. It is not an easy thing. That's why you have to have this coroner's inquest. You have to do some investigations, and you try to slip it out of the police hands, so to speak. And so, because it's been questioned, it's going to be questioned. It's going to be it's going to be challenged.
Yes, I'll get to some comments, and then we will shift gears a little bit. I'll get to some comments or questions in the comment section. By the way, welcome to the conversation, guys. This is Hot Topics Monday. My special guest this first 30 minutes is a former Assistant Commissioner of Police, Stephen Dean. And Stephen Dean, of course, hugely experienced police officer, climbing the ranks over the years in the Royal Bahamas Police Force, and still is involved in high-tech security, a specialist and expert. And today he is now with us talking about the police shooting that you saw, the video that went viral and that many people immediately formed opinions on. And we are not trying to come to a conclusion any which way here on that shooting, but just to say that police officers sometimes are faced with some crazy situations. And so just to get an understanding of maybe how they would approach it. And you heard him say that on the way there, just based on experience, what the conversation would have been. How are we going to go and attack this situation? What are we going to be on the lookout for? Because I'll tell you, that's the first time I've seen in the Bahamas where police officers like back up. You know what I mean? Like one cover the next. That was just absolutely something to see.
It has a lot to do with training. Then another thing you have to determine, is there any information on the mental capacity of the suspect? Because it could be a mental patient, so to speak. And so how do you deal with that? Because that person might not be listening to you with commands, and as the case may be. And so you have those type of confrontations. So you don't really, most time the officers don't know if they see someone with a firearm, and there might be no time to ask whether or less police officers are familiar or you have intelligence coming to the scene, because sometimes you try to get, let's say the duty officer sends you, your control room sends you. You're trying to get as much information as possible. Or if there's someone at the scene who could relay information to the responding officers, as the case may be, you know.
I'll tell you, Bahamians have become very wary of police officers. I hope it doesn't get to the point where it's in the United States, where it's quite hostile with the police forces. I forget, police divisions throughout the United States. Very, very hostile. We certainly don't want it here, because the thing is, you need law enforcement. You need some measure of law and order in a country, in a society. But you know, again, people have questions. People are wary. People are skeptical. And so, of course, we have former Assistant Commissioner of Police Stephen Dean here to try and shed some light, answer some questions. Dolores Robinson says or asks, can the police shoot but not to kill?
The police are not trained, and nowhere in the world the police is trained to shoot, not to kill. When a police fires his weapon, his life must be in imminent danger, or the life of someone must be in imminent danger.
Alexander Stirrup says there were handguns, but I agree. If shot at, make sure you go home, is what he's saying. Melissa Miller says, did he see the video? There were 3 officers on the roof shooting down. I guess she's saying, did it have to be all of those officers shooting down at what turned out to be one person who was shot and killed?
You know, if one officer shoot, an officer might miss. So it depends on what the threat is. If a suspect is not going down, you're gonna have to definitely try to get him down. That's what it is. That's what it is.
And that's really the aim, to get the suspect down, disarm the suspect.
If a suspect is firing at the police, he is telling you that he's going to take your life or the police take his life.
Now, of course, we saw that video. There was no fire back, but of course, we saw just that video from that angle. And so we certainly don't know, but the suspect was shot and killed on the scene. This happened on Friday. Melissa Miller says, they look like handguns, not automatic guns to me. Let's just see some more questions. Stephen Ferguson says, most of the time the police shoot to kill, even when the criminal didn't have a gun. But sometimes a former assistant commissioner explained that sometimes you can't wait to see if the suspect have a gun or not. I'm just saying.
Well, the reality, an officer must have to give a justification of what he saw that caused his life to be in danger. It might not necessarily be a gun. An officer might be approached with a knife or cutlass, whatever it is. You know, that is why there's a court of law. You have to explain what you're talking about when you said my life was in danger. Okay.
Let's just see. Nathiri Roberts says there are good and bad police officers on the force. So I agree. We should look at these police officer shootings case by case. Alicia Josie says, are our police officers trained to kill or disarm a suspect? Well, Alicia, I know you heard former assistant commissioner said that they really are trained to disarm, but sometimes that may require further action, eh?
Yeah, some suspects just give up sometime, or they'll put their hands up. The set is a different variables of the situation, Shenique. But it comes back down to the point of the officer on the ground using his or her judgment, whether their life was in danger or whether life of members of the public was in danger.
Right, absolutely. Now, I want to shift gears here. We talk about the police shooting, and of course, that matter will, of course, there will be an inquest into that. We know that, and an investigation. But let's talk about what's happening on the streets. In Exuma last evening, the fish fry, and I got it, live on the scene, a gentleman stabbed in the neck. I have not heard further of that, so perhaps he is still alive. Here in New Providence, sometime this morning, another homicide. What is happening with our people, particularly the young men who continue to just take each other out? That it is just so unfortunate and so sad with this violence. You heard the Minister of National Security only last week talk about armed robberies and homicide being on the uptick.
Well, Shenique, what you have it comes back to a lot of different variables, different situations, impatience. You did something to me. I'm going to take it in my own hand because I'm not got time to waste. I'm going to deal with it. You see this level of the tolerance level among some of our people are not there, you know. So anything triggers them off. Some of us see it too, but adults, I mean, some things what people get upset over, Shenique, sometimes you wonder, say, what? I can't believe that. So you'll be, when you analyze these incidents, why they are fighting, why they are scrimmaging, why they shooting, sometimes you got them in custody and you say, what? Just that?
Just that.
Just that? You know, we had a situation where a fella fiance told him, a guy looked at him and Hale was making some passes towards her. And that was sufficient for that guy to go and take a firearm and shot that fella.
Man, oh gosh. And that's the thing. And I know for years, as a reporter, I remember even talking to you, talking about conflict resolution, talking about walking away. Because I understand in the Exuma situation, it was between two family members where this happened. I was told, it did not confirm, just told from somebody on the scene. And my thing is, it is just so silly and ugly, and people are just so angry. And I don't know where the anger comes from in our country, particularly with men, but it is something that is very destructive and leaves a bad taste and just sorrow in its wake.
But Shenique, it comes back to training, and we have to look even at early ages at some of the curriculum, because we start talking about conflict resolution when we have incidents happening. Because of the society that we're in, you have to start that very, very, very early. Very, very early. And I always talk with the conveyor belt. We see trends among our young people, but everybody left it because it's not my child. I take up the conveyor belt, my child or my cousin child, but that's somebody else. Let them deal with that. I remember,
I'll tell you this. I remember as a reporter talking to you years ago when you all first started noticing the trend of young boys being armed. Right. At the time, it sounded very strange, and you all talked about it. I don't know if you all were dealing with it at that time or addressing it, but you all were aware of it, and now it's out of control.
Yeah, and Shenique, it's a societal challenge, and I think we have to look from a country of programs. I mean, not segmented programs. Could you hear a group was operating over there? Someone got the boys club, someone got this, someone got that. I think from a national perspective, that we look at what is it we want to look at our young men, particularly those in high school. Their education might not be cutting it, but at grade 10, you can see some trend where Johnny or Peter is likely to be going, which direction he or she is going in. Do I get him in a trade school? Tell him that's it for your last 2 years. This is where I'm going to point you. And I do the conflict resolution, which becomes mandatory that you do it. So I think we have to be intentional about the things that we do, Shenique, to really address these problems. We keep hearing about it, but we get this band-aid approach that we do it. We just try to stop the bleeding, but surgery is needed.
No, surgery is needed, and it was needed from years ago when we first started noticing the trends. Danielle Gibson says, Shenique, what it is poor parenting habits with our young men. And I refuse to believe that mothers in particular are still letting the young men in the homes have a pass and run wild, while the girls are pulled in and given stricter parenting, for lack of a better description of it. But it continues to happen.
But Shenique, we got to be realistic. We say poor parenting. Do we think the ideal home, a mother and father is sitting there where everybody comes to the dinner table and eat every day? Do we think that's really the home we're talking about?
No.
Do we understand that there are 13 and 14-year-old girls who are parents? Do we understand that we have 17, 16-year-old boys who are fathers? So you understand? We need someone to deal with the parents who are teenagers also. And so these are real situations, but we talk about the ideal. We have books written for the ideal family.
The ideal family and the ideal, but how can we get back there? And I know it's no getting back. What I mean is, people often refer to the fact that when from the days of Linden, a national program was talked about. never introduced, never launched, but just talked about the fact that this national program must happen. Can that still happen nowadays? It's urgent, but can that even happen?
While I won't get into the debate of the national, but I think we need some sort of national program in the sense, you know, I think what the Defense Force have, the Defense Force
Rangers.
It's an excellent program. It's an excellent program to build on countrywide. That you in school, you do 2 years at least of the Ranger program of community service. You involve in a number of things. Because when you find out, most of these people, when they come out, they have never communicated with nobody. They involved in no youth group. They involved in nothing. So the gang is an open place for them to feel a part of. That's their youth group right there, to join the gang. That's their alternative.
But what's so unfortunate, we saw with the Government Eye situation just a few weeks ago, the fact that there are gangs embedded in these schools and the young boys act out on the playing field, the gang movement. And
Shenique, these are real situations. If you check, and from time to time, police officers are stopping young kids, young boys, teenage boys, have a knife in his pocket. Now you might say a guy carrying a knife, but there's some real issues out there. He realized that we have to pass community A. He must carry a knife to protect. It's about survival mood in some cases. So some of us who don't live in these communities will sit here like Monday morning, Sunday morning quarterbacks saying what should have happened.
And what should not.
Yeah, what could have. But there are some real issues embedded in those communities that they are in need of help, leadership. You talked about what is it you have for young people to do after school? Are there any major community centers in those areas? Some people electricity off. Can they do homework?
Wow.
They're real issues.
Well, obviously it takes more than a 30-minute interview to address it, because all of those you mentioned it has, but it's necessary. It isn't just for me to have you on and us talk about it and you maybe go to the next person and talk about it and they talk. It truly is something that must be addressed, because now it's affecting a country. It is affecting,
a call to action. It's a call to action. And we can do it with one stroke of the pen. Just people getting intention. We got to be intentional about it. But we talk about it one day. But we have some small groups on the corners working, Block A, Block B. But how about everybody coming together?
Everyone coming together.
On a national scope, and we funding some of those programs that works. And someone was just talking about the Boys Brigade, the Scouts, and all these things. What has happened to those programs?
What has happened to those programs? And another thing with us, Stephen Dean, we hate working together and supporting each other. I don't know. First of all, I think we need to get rid of that, because these same young people observe that for so long. And so they grow up with all this hatred in them.
And then all this volunteers, nobody can volunteer. Everybody wants to get paid now.
What you mean? You better pay us something.
So that's what, but what I'm still saying, we can find ways of funding program of intent persons who want to do these things to make sure it happens. That Johnny should go in this program after school, and that's part of making your grades, because students now have to do community service.
Yeah, they do.
Why don't we? But they be calling around to business places. Can be come for 2 hours. Let's have some structure that you must go into this program.
That's true.
And we will know that you get a certificate, make them feel appreciated, have a graduation, and that's what it is.
Well, I think there needs to be a national conversation, because I'll tell you, everybody should be funneled in, as you said, right into that same Defense Force Rangers program, in there. Learn some discipline, because all of that and what's required in the Defense Forces program, even the junior program, certainly will teach some sort of discipline, structure, and order.
No question. And then police force have a cadet corps program. All these things can be expanded. All these things can be expanded. They have a technical program. I think BDBI. What I'm saying, all that could be under one umbrella.
Under one umbrella.
And you participate in this area, that area, doing homework. And you could imagine from a national perspective that we do that in developing our people. But I just think we have to find ways. We have to do it, Shenique. But we'll talk all day. And you'll find all kind of exploits comes on and tell you what should happen, when should it happen, how should it happen. I like the slogan of Michael Jordan, just do it, the Nike slogan.
I love that. Just do it right there. Belinda Bethel Rogers says, speaking of Boys Brigade, Grantstown Wesley Methodist Church on Blue Road still has the Boys Brigade. Boy, it's very quiet, eh? Nowadays, if you ain't screaming it out, nobody knows about it.
Yeah. And I think support, and then you find out that not getting much young people participate in the leadership role in these organizations. Because some of these organizations, you go there, you'll find the captain of who has been there for a couple of years and all around. And so, but I just find we need to find ways, Shenique, to get back, to rekindle that fire that once burned, the community, rekindle that fire of community spirit, that you are looking for something to do. You are looking to participate. Every parent want their children to participate in something in time past, you have to be associated with something. Either your church, either some basketball thing. Everything is just gone down.
And that is why someone mentioned parenting. It was somebody earlier. It really Danielle, it really comes from parenting, because then if parents would insist that these programs are there by sending their kids, the programs will continue to thrive and to flourish, and we would see a better society of young people coming up.
And Shenique, there's so many variable things that change. Then you have to determine, yes, I want the program. Then you have to vet the instructors to determine where you're sending your children.
You're right. You're right.
So many things have changed, but I just think if we put our heads together, we structure it properly. But I just think we need to bring all these segmented parts together and stop operating compartmentally, so to speak. We just need to bring it together, Shenique. There are some people in this country who are doing some good things, but Shenique, as I speak today, we have to find ways to celebrate our young people. There's a lot of good is happening with young people, but they're not celebrated. We just seen the bad, we're seeing the court matters, we're seeing who being charged, as the case may be, but there's some good things happening with young people.
Here is Glenn P. Rose says, just do it. I agree, Stephen. One umbrella organization with structure, and that is where the impact will come in, because when there's so many fragments all over the place, it can never make sense. Most of those programs lack funding. That's Florina Pratt, and that's why he said, bring them under one umbrella and just do it. Dolores Robinson says, pray. Prayer certainly has its role.
Yes, but all these can be compartmental parts, essential parts of the program. Shenique, it's heartbreaking when you see children with sponsor sheets. The basketball team wants to travel. They're around the food store asking you for $2, $3 to travel. When we gotta find ways, if something is a viable program, that the funding is available.
The funding there. I don't know. We just don't take seriously any of it. And it ain't just started. It's been going on for decades. We don't take those things seriously. And as a result, this is what it is. And you're right, those young people that actually want to do something and be about something, you see them around the food stores, and it's a bit annoying. But the point is now that not to hear it now, you realize, boy, you better support them with whatever it is, because they are trying to do something that's meaningful.
And Shenique, leadership. I know of cases where children were in the Simpson Penn School who came out are in private schools doing well now because someone take them off the conveyor belt. The opportunity. There are some young people who just want the opportunity.
Just want an opportunity.
We have to create the opportunity. We have to present there, because we say all persons are created equal, Shenique. But when you look at it, some people born at a disadvantage because of their environment.
No, you're right, absolutely. And then to stay in that environment, it just exacerbates the problem. Florina Pratt says, my children have no choice when it comes to clubs like the Rangers. It takes a village to raise a child, so her kids are there and enrolled. Sandy Hilton says the Seventh-day Adventist has a Pathfinder club that groom young people as well. I thank you all very much, and I thank you very much, former Assistant Commissioner of Police Stephen Dean, for always being willing to come and shed some light on a police issue, on something that has happened, giving us perspective that perhaps just to consider another option, another way of looking at what you may have seen on a video or what may have gone viral. And I thank you very much for always sharing your expertise with us.
And Shenique, thank you for the opportunity. And I still want to say, because I have law enforcement is in my heart, to the hard men and women who are working on there, whether it's the RBPF, whether they're the Defense Force, the prison, immigration, customs, all these persons are working hard. It's a call for duty. I would hope that we get more young persons, to come forward to serve your country, rather than going into violence, This is an alternative. Come and serve your country. So I want to commend them and the Bahamian public who continue, all the crime watch groups out there, all the people who support law enforcement, who want to see good for this country. There are some people who are working, Shenique, we just don't see them on the television. We don't see them coming forward, but they're doing so much yeoman's work in their community. So I want to say thanks to all those persons.
I agree. And as you go, listen to this. Melissa Miller says, such intelligence and great insight from you, Mr. Stephen Dean. Thank you.
Thank you. The Bahamian people have cost me to go into an organization where I was free and well. And, so I love it, Shenique, working even around persons like y'all. The nights we go to those scenes and all of that you cost me to be better. You cost me to be better. Stephen Dean, fix your story like this. Stephen Dean, do something like that. But I was open and willing to learn.
Yes, you are.
We grew as iron sharpened iron. We needed one another, and we grew, Shenique.
We grew together. You're absolutely right. We grew together, and we had great times together. And yeah, absolutely. And it's wonderful always being able to speak with you on an ongoing basis. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shenique. Thank you. God bless you.
Absolutely. Thank you. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to have some the Hot Topics panel going to weigh in on a number of things. I mean, just to see, Peter Turnquest hitting out, former Deputy Prime Minister, hitting at the Prime Minister's housing program that he has for professionals. What do you all think? What do you think about that? The fact that he spoke out and said it's not a good program, or no, actually he says it's more sort of discriminatory, that program. What are your thoughts about that? And also Dwayne Sands said the budget really isn't saying anything. We're going to talk about those when we come back. Don't go anywhere. Hot Topics Monday comes back right after this. Share.
To shed some extra inches of unwanted belly fat. Did you know that there are alternatives to surgery to get rid of unwanted fat? Let Therapy Natural Health Spa help you reduce fat without surgery. Therapy Natural Health Spa employs a series of methods in a customized plan to suit your fat loss goals. Target those stubborn and challenging areas on the body with our cavitation body shaper that uses heating lasers to break up and melt fat during each session. Did you know that as you drink water and exercise, that your lymphatic system and liver work together to help eliminate fat? Let Therapy Natural Health Spa help you get the results you've been waiting for. Call us for a free consultation and let Therapy Natural Health Spa work out a plan for you. Check us out on Instagram or Facebook. Our numbers are 393-1126 or 806-1132.
Maybe it's for the thrill, or the scenery, or maybe you do it for the speed, or maybe it's for the baby. It might just be for the next stop, or even for the beautiful moments. Whatever your reason for driving, we'll be there to keep you going. Atura Auto, servicing your vehicle at a price that keeps your pockets happy. Call us today.
Hello to you, Transportation Central in the Florida area. Hi to everybody who's watching wherever you're watching, and thank you very, very much for watching here around Nassau and around the islands. Welcome to Hot Topics Monday here in the conversation. I'm Shenique Miller, and we're going to jump right into the Hot Topics panel discussion. Let's get started. By the way, please do share the live stream. Share. Tag some people in, like the video, and keep sharing. Continue sharing as you come in, share. Let's just jump into the Hot Topics panel discussion. Glenroy Pratt is also wonderful, always wonderful to have you here. Obi Roberts, is good to have you here this afternoon. And it should be Garth Rosborough out of in Exuma. That's right. It's wonderful to have you. Wait a minute, hold on. Obi and Glenroy, what is happening with Garth? I'm just wondering. Because I know you on the island and things is right, but what's happening, Garth? Please describe your surroundings to us?
I am in Georgetown, Exuma. First time visiting the mainland. I normally go fishing in the islands itself, and came to see the salt ponds and the nightlife activity, what the tourist numbers are looking like here, and the prospect for growth. And very impressive, very impressive. Last night there was a slight altercation with a stabbing. I don't know if the young man is alive or dead, but there was a stabbing to the neck. I was actually present at that particular time. But other than that, everything else has been up and above the water, and I'm having a grand time.
That is wonderful. Good to hear. It looks like you are having a good time and enjoying yourself. And it was quite unfortunate last night that at a place where it should be nice relaxation on a family island, no doubt, that here it is, that incident took place. But it's good to have you today. Once again, good afternoon to you, Glenroy and Obi. Let's just jump right in, gentlemen. And whichever gentleman jumps in, jump in first. First of all, anybody want to perhaps one person jump in and have just a response to the police shooting on Saturday?
Which one, Shenique? I mean,
which one? The one in Sunshine Park. Oh, there were two. Oh, forgive me. Where was the second one?
I think there was an incident in Camp Road. I'm not the information of the sketch with that. Shenique, the one in Golden Gates and Sunshine Park, that was a very unfortunate incident. I'll leave it as that the gentleman who was involved with the shooting, Mr. Wilson, is quite known and respected in the community, and persons what I'm hearing right now, just trying to figure out what all took place in that matter. But the only thing is, I would like to say, in that if you're faced with a situation with the police, please respect and adhere to the law. If the police approach you and ask you to put down your weapons, and that was the thing that we saw from the video and everything else, the police cars and the police officers who were involved with it. I encourage anybody, if you're confronted by the police, even as a regular traffic stop, please respect the authorities and do as they say, and adhere to them, and then hopefully you'll be able to go home to your families in that regard.
Absolutely. Let's not ever get like our neighbors to the north. It really we can't afford to have a society that's chaotic. Let's shift gears, guys, please, and let's jump right in. Budget debate is happening. That is the 2021-2022 budget. And of course, we know it goes to the Senate shortly because it comes into effect July 1st. But a number of things have been said during this budget that was surprising. Let's just go with the former Deputy Prime Minister first, who hit out at the housing program, or rather housing subdivision that really is geared towards the young professional, maybe the young professional couple or the young professional individual to have an opportunity at a better living, a better standard of living if he or she desires. But he thought it was discriminatory, really. You guys, you share those views. You figure as though he painted some a narrative that wasn't quite spot on.
I'll let Glenroy and Garth go first.
I see Obi. Obi is turned out to be the host. You know, the host. Garth, jump in. No, Garth. No, Obi is the host. Garth, you there? Can you hear us? Okay, Glenroy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Okay, go jump in. Yes, I can.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there will always in a democratic society, you will always have a disagreement on policy and how to get there. And obviously, when you are in a position like a backbencher, there's another greater opportunity for you to express your views, unlike when you're tied in being a part of the cabinet, because of the collective responsibility you have to ensure that you speak as one voice. And so I have no reservations that he feels his way, and I respect the fact that he expressed himself in that regard. But as it relates to discriminatory practice, I see it as this way or the other, because not every Bahamian will find themselves with the ability to purchase land at the prices being afforded. Whether or not you called it young professionals, if they had just offered land without that title alone, there would have been those who felt as if some Bahamians were being discriminated against. But if you can afford it, you take advantage of the opportunity because, quite frankly, the ability to buy land in this country is very costly. And at any point in stage where you're getting some type of opportunity to do it at a lesser cost, you run for that opportunity. You could call it whatever you want, but that's what it is. Run for it if you can afford it.
Obi, jump in.
Shenique, when I heard it, I was a little bit aghast by the comments by the Prime Minister, but it only further cemented his opinions when he said that at the next time, if he's given an opportunity to, if he's reelected, if he's given the opportunity to be Prime Minister, he will look after the poor people. Clearly, this was clearly not his mindset of looking out for the poor people. It is discriminatory when you are the Prime Minister supposed to be offering it to all Bahamians as best as you can, all the ones who really and truly need it. Not saying that the young professionals don't need it, but if you have other persons out that way who meet the criteria, the financial criteria, and they may not be may not be in that realm or that bracket as a young professional, allow them an opportunity in terms of obtaining a home to their liking. Many persons saw it, Shenique, as, okay, property out west, how come this was never extended to other persons in other realms? And why wasn't this selected for them? Is this because we are close to the general election? Is this an election opportunity to also obtain certain support? This is what some persons are probably considering why this was offered to the young professional group and to not other Bahamians. What about the people who lost their homes in Abaco? Was the same thing extended to them, or persons also in Grand Bahama who also lost their homes in Hurricane Dorian? How come certain things wasn't extended to them? And so that's why there was so many different outcomes and responses when this comment was made by the Prime Minister in the House of Assembly.
Garth, if you can hear us, and if you can step in and I'll give you 90 seconds. Garth, your mic is, you are muted, Garth.
Yeah, I hear both sides of what Glenroy and Obi is saying, and good day, gentlemen, good day, the guest of the show, the Bahamian people, Ms. Shenique Miller, hello. I would have preferred to have heard the Prime Minister, the most competent, to speak about making affordability to all Bahamians in regards to the utility rates. To me, if you're going to have an election ploy, or if you want to appease the masses of the Bahamian people, there is a disparity between the people who are not educated in this country and those who are educated. And so for those who are educated, you're saying to me once again, those who are professional, that you're going to side with these particular individuals in order to lift them up to a higher socioeconomic status. If you really want to impact the Bahamian people, we need to change the numbers on being the fourth most highest utility rate in the world and drop it to number 20 or 25. But to keep it at 4 and say, okay, now's the time for you to have an opportunity to own a home. I already own a home as a professional. Ask me, how difficult is it to continue to pay your utility rates? It's almost a second home mortgage. And so for any young person now building their dream home, and you can afford the mortgage, I now question, can you afford the utility rate? Because as I walk around Nassau and I drive around Nassau, you see the amount of homes that have been foreclosed. These were people who were professional. These were people who were married. These were people who went to church and believed in God. How can a person of this status, they're not criminal, lose their home after paying 10, 15, 20 years of mortgage? You lose your home.
Yes.
So why are we going to encourage people to continue to build homes when we know we cannot afford to keep them?
Well, I'll tell you, I agree with you in terms of the utility, because utilities are, number one, inconsistent. It absolutely is horrible. Out west has been off all day, on and off all day, and the BPL has yet to give one response and one answer. And so the fact that you're paying for that is just deplorable. And this vexing issue of just power alone has been lingering and hanging around too long. Now, in terms, gentlemen, of having access, let's just be real. You cannot make, and it's wonderful, because who doesn't have old Fort Bay dreams? Obi, I think I have an idea where you live, and I have those dreams too elusive to many people. Garth, I have an idea where you live. And even there is elusive to some people. So the fact that young, professional, hardworking, married or single couples or individuals can now have access to a part of out west or a part of perhaps a certain portion of out east, why not? I don't see the discrimination there. I think get them in there if that's what they want and if they can afford it. It's not being forced on you. If you want to live out west and have that energy, and listen, I was just talking to someone just before today's show, and I was telling them how I took a drive out west recently for a job that I had, and that I was shocked at the new energy and just out west is a different part of the Bahamas, forget Nassau. Who wouldn't want to have access to that as a young professional who can afford it? So I think it's a good gesture. Now, Garth, I agree with you. My God, when your mortgage is what, I don't know, $3,000 a month or $5,000 a month or whatever it may be. The point is, can we have the light on consistently, please? Can that be just one of the things? Can cable run properly? Like it's just a whole number of other things going on. Can the water be of good quality coming out the pipes? And so this country need a whole overhaul and refixing, I guess, yes. But I also think that of affording people who can afford it, they ain't telling not everybody to go there and close. The ones who can afford it and want the opportunity, why not? I think that is a wonderful idea, Garth, Obi, and
also,
Glenroy. I really believe so.
Shenique, if I may quickly, you know this concept of an election ploy. Let's get that straight. There's a difference between an election ploy and an election promise. This was promised from the platform of the FNM prior to coming to office. So they're just trying to live up to the promise that they made. So just
this was a promise. I never even forgive me for being a reporter in the room and not even reading the manifesto or whatever it is that the FNM put out there in 2017. Raquel Wood says, Obi, under the PLP, this opportunity is never given. Only a few selected benefit from such things. And Obi, go look at the rest what Raquel said. So why, Garth, you don't have no, listen, Kizzy says, why you ain't no shade? Who you trying to impress and get the attention of? Also, let's just see if who else I can get a comment from. Raquel Woodside again. No, Garth, you need to qualify for a mortgage, period. Karen Barr says, okay, listen, child, the comment section has its own show. How about that? Let's just agree with that part. It's own show. Let me see what Melissa Miller says. Obi, the Prime Minister did not exempt any Bahamian. Anyone who can afford the property falls under the umbrella of young professionals. Well, see, but that's what I like that. I like the fact that people who once lived, one second, Obi, people who once lived in, what is it called again? Oh my God. Bamboo Town. People who once lived in South Beach.
Anywhere.
That they've worked to be to a certain level, they have gained a certain professionalism and qualifications and now at a certain income bracket, and they want to move. They want to access to that life. I see that as very commendable. Go ahead, Obi.
Shenique, what I'm saying.
Obi, 60 seconds, please.
Shenique, what I'm saying is this. Just indicate that persons who meet the criteria instead of making it young professionals. That's why it made it seem to be.
Obi, Glenroy, I don't want to hear your mouth, Glenroy. I don't want to hear your mouth. Obi, I will respond to you, Obi. Obi, you don't want to see. Obi, 1 second, Obi. Obi, you do not want to see every and anybody pull up but they living beside you.
Shenique, no, there's not that, Shenique. The point is, if you meet the criteria financially, when you go to the homes or any company to purchase a home, regardless of where you live prior to that, if you meet the requirement, they cannot deny you of that. Am I wrong? If you meet the criteria for purchasing a house,
no, they can't. And I don't think. Listen, let's just be real. The average person, I don't want to even go there. You always try and make people say things that should not be said.
That's why I said meet the criteria, Shenique.
Yeah, exactly. But then who can meet it? It only could be somebody of a certain income bracket.
Shenique, you are persons who save their monies, who start from small.
Yeah, but that's okay if you save your. Go ahead, Obi. Finish that. Finish it.
What I'm saying is, By saying young professionals, you basically establish a bracket. I'm just saying, just indicate the persons who meet the criteria. That's it. That could be anyone who worked their butt off, a couple who worked their butt off, save their money and say, okay, fine, this is what the prime minister is saying, we meet the criteria. That's what I'm saying.
But I think that the scenario you just described, I think they would be approved if they were to go and show themselves. Granted, because I believe, I'll tell you this, now here's where the discrimination comes in, Peter Turnquist and Glenroy, Obi and Garth. I think you have to be a certain age. That's what I think.
The banks currently have a policy where they don't lend you money after a certain age. I mean, nothing has changed other than you having a greater opportunity. And this concept about being professional, all that, we all have to start to elevate ourselves in our thinking. You could be a professional peanut man, a salesman. You could be a professional tire layer. You're a professional plumber. You're a professional car washer. The professional is only a title. The reality of it is we have to elevate the way we think. But at the end of the day, when you sit before that banker, professional is when you have the money in the bank. They don't care about how you getting it.
They don't care what the hell you doing, how you doing it. You have the money. Here's Alexander Stark. Here, Obi, listen to this. This is a very important point. The generational payment gap is crazy. We haven't heard about raising minimum wage. Those conversations are good until that happens. Listen to me. The minimum wage conversation is a whole nother show. Gano Davis, I'm telling you, it's a whole nother show. Because minimum wage, someone was telling me, I think it may have been you, Garth, that the United States just did a minimum wage to now $15 an hour. The Bahamas is around $5 an hour. Well, of course, we cannot compete with the US and what they do. But my thing is $5 an hour does not cut it. How do we even address that? I understand there's a whole major thing that goes into even thinking about raising the minimum wage in the Bahamas, and the ramifications of that. But we have to go. I did not ask whoever that was for a comment. Ken says, the problem is that the Bahamian dream has always looked like one thing. The reality is not everyone will be able to afford to live in certain areas, West included. Let's make the dream a dream that is different, realistic, and more specific to a person's socio-economic standing. Well, Ken, here's what I say. It can be different dreams for different people. That's one dream for the professional family or the individual to go and attain. Your dream might be access to funding. Another person's dream may be something else, having the funding to run an at-risk program or what. It's different dreams. That's why it's a country, a collective of people, hopefully to build a better, stronger society. That is so needed in this country. I really believe that. Gentlemen, yes, sir. I have to take a break, sir. And when we come back, we have to talk about Dwayne Sands saying, anybody want to hit out at Frederick McAlpine as well on what he had to say. But Dwayne Sands say, listen, this budget, I ain't about all that. This budget ain't saying much. We are going to take a quick break and come back with more of the conversation. Hot Topics Monday, right after this. Share the live stream, guys.
Beyonce may have said that she woke up like this, but remember, Beyonce has a whole team of experts to help give her that flawless look. It's your turn to shine in the skin you're in with your team, Flirty Girl. We help you contour your body, enhance your curves, and embrace your skin with our fat-burning laser lipo and breast and butt enhancements. Relax with a facial, a massage or detox, and try our fitness and nutrition coaching, or even our specialty services, Brazilian wax, and intimate skincare and intimate brightening treatments. Let your inner smile glow on every inch of yourself. Maybe even surprise him with a male or couples experience. This is your invitation to unveil your beauty. Request a consultation today by calling 677-1689 or WhatsApp 467-9630. Flirty Girl, where you are beautiful.
We're going to wrap up this other segment very shortly, but here are some interesting points. And Kara, you could bring the panelists in. Karen Gardner says banks don't lend to self-employed. Now that is just crazy. Didn't know that. Danielle Gibson says only the Progressive Liberal Party proposed the increase of minimum wage. Gano Davis says, listen, talk about the cost of living. I think it was Garth. Oh, there's Garth. Okay. Talk about the cost of living and everything else included. She says, Shenique, cement went from $10.75 when she started, I guess she means building, to now basically $19, $18.95. So see what's happening, the cost of living going up and your salary remain the same. I understand it. Karen Gardner says, listen, when it comes to, and you speak about a wage increase, it will be hard for small business owners to pay more. I understand that also has something to do even with big business and the fallout that'll happen there in the Bahamas. This was something I discussed a number of years ago as a reporter when covering something in the House of Assembly. Maybe Daniela was probably the PLP who was proposing that, and it never went anywhere because people started throwing out all these different scenarios of what the fallout would be, or basically what would be happening. Ramel Sweeting says, remove VAT and implement income tax. What happened to the improving of the Over the Hill area? Danielle Gibson. Let's see. Bones Gilbert. Minimum wage is not $15 in the United States. It was not approved by Congress. Oh, it was not approved. Thank you very much, Bones. Thank you. It was not approved. He's saying. And let's just see what other comment we could get before. Many factories were closed due to COVID-19. Yep, that created the shortage and the hiked prices. Ugh. Additionally, many of those factories remain closed. This is Danielle Gibson. And you see, that is just, COVID-19 really had an impact on our economy and the global economy, truly. But so that is what now, that is how cement is, a bag of cement is what, $19? And yet people are expected to make it and to you know, it is just really wild. Gentlemen, let's look at the 2021-2022 budget. Dwayne San says it's lackluster. There's nothing there to inspire, motivate, cause people to want to dream or anything. Your thoughts?
Shenique, before we went to the break, even
God, my show is already over by 1 minute. Yeah. I just want you to understand that.
Yeah, but I'm just simply saying, dreaming is great, and government's responsibility to ensure that dreams can be made possible, I think it's awesome. But when we allow situations to happen where people can dream and we reach for the stars, but we end up in a desert without water, I think government has some responsibility. Right now, you're telling people that, yes, I know these are the things that you want, but there's so many shackles on our feet, so many shackles on our hands, so much shackles within our minds psychologically. The Bahamas right now is that it seems we're about to burst, and people are looking for real answers. I'm not saying that governments do not try. What I'm saying is that governments now fail to implement the measures that are necessary for us to sustain. You can own a home, but can you maintain the home? To maintain a home, you need paint, you need plywood, you need shingles, you need electrical wire, you need cement, you need sand, you need rock. These are things you have to afford on top of
You need to pay BPL,
water and sewage. You got your cable. See, these are bills that people do not see. And I'm saying to you that owning a home in the Bahamas is really unaffordable because the average citizen really cannot afford to pay. For instance, just quickly, you work in a hotel, but the foreigner makes more money than you do, right? But you don't make as much as the foreigner does working in your hotel. So the foreigner can afford to live in a paradisical situation. The question is, can you?
Very true, Garth, very true. And so listen, Garth, I need to bring you in here. And Garth, 1 minute. What then is the People's National Coalition proposing to do about all of this? The cost of living, the inaccessibility of a better way of life, the banking fees, the banking laws, the utility situation, all of that in a minute. What is the PNC, the party of which you head, how do you plan on addressing all of this?
I believe in the interest of a greener earth. There's so many people out there who love this country, who want a partnership with this country, who wants to make this country into the utopia that it can be. I understand that we cannot do it of ourselves. We borrow an exorbitant amount of monies. And I ask the question, even to my good friend Glenroy or to Obi, where do these monies go. The average Bahamian doesn't feel it. You say, okay, you want new generators. Why are we looking for new generators when we can look for solar alternatives?
Then we could look, that's right, for natural alternatives.
You see, when you look at banking, if a foreigner can own a bank in the Bahamas, why the heck can't we? If they can own a casino in my country, why the hell can't I? You see, there has to be certain things that are more appreciative for a Bahamian than it is for a foreigner. So I should be able to come to Exuma and open up my own bed and breakfast. How is it that tourists can come in here and open it up before I do? Who allows that?
What you mean? Who allows it? The same system that's been allowing it forever and a day. The same one. Catherine Hyler-Wells.
Go ahead.
Catherine Hyler-Wells gives an example. Shenique, roofing plywood before COVID was $20 and change. Now it's $53 and change, and at some places $56 and change. It is really quite discouraging for Bahamians to want to do something. Obi, Glenroy, jump in, and whichever point it is, as we wrap up.
Yeah, but I listen to Gas, right? And obviously he raised some points in there that are concerning for the average Bahamian. And it is difficult for the average Bahamian to own a home. That's quite right. But we just can't always blame the government as well. There's a part of the responsibility that we don't often put on ourselves as well as a people. Before you consider building a home, there are a lot of things that you must do. You must do your homework. That's one. And then you don't start the process of wanting to build a home. Let's say I'm getting married in 2 years. Now I want to start talking about building a home in 2 years. No, you need to start the process of thinking about home ownership if you want a home ownership earlier in your younger years. What you do in your younger years catches up to you in your older years. But see, a part of the challenge is not only that. We need a financial education. We need to have these types of teaching and stuff like that to teach finances and all that stuff in high school.
To teach savings and investing and long term.
Exactly.
Medium and long term.
Exactly. And obviously the banks aren't in the business of making you liberated from
Somebody's
them.
Someone.
If the bank make you liberated for them, what's the purpose of having a bank? They're in the business of making money. So as long as you're in bondage, you are a revenue center for the bank. And so what we need to do is learn to work collectively together to ensure that we have the success that we need. There are a lot of
out of the banking system and get into systems that will cause you to build wealth and have access to wealth. Go ahead, Glenroy.
Exactly. You have a lot of cooperatives, all right? In some households, you have everybody in the household have a car. Everybody paying the bank back, or 6 people paying back the bank $300-400 a month. Whereas if those individuals came together collectively and saved for a period of time, they could have gone to a certain location and said, look, we buying 5 cars or 6 cars. What's the discount? And you have to use and leverage your buying power. There are other opportunities other than just waiting on the government, because governments come and go and agendas change. And so we have to learn how to be financially literate so that we can elevate ourselves out of the situations that we're in. But far too often in this society, we are a consumer society, and that has caused many of us to be in the positions we're in.
Glenroy, we are too much of a consumer society, and that is why last week on this show, I heard a company by the name of Arawak X talking about opportunities to save and invest, opportunities to have access and shareholdings in companies that before now you couldn't. I thought it was hugely interesting, and I would love to hear more from them about that, because Bahamians now truly need access to real wealth, access to saving properly, get out of this banking system. And you know, I'm not trying to fight against the banks. I'm just saying, Obi, that it's about time now that we begin to win and we begin to invest in the things and put our monies in areas that will allow us to win. Obi, your final comment.
Shenique, speaking about our financial services, that's another subject.
It is.
Because what Bahamians are finding very frustrating is they could go to the bank and get a loan for a car, but they can't go to the bank and get a loan for property. They can't go to the bank to get a loan for capital for their businesses, and make it extremely difficult for them to survive. Just for sake of to give you an example, our credit card interest, we are paying twice as much by the Canadian banks as Canadians pay in their own country.
My Lord.
All right, between credit cards, between I think 18 to 22%, we're getting creamed.
Exactly.
All right. I have encouraged persons. I said, listen to me, and this is me. I say, listen, tear up those credit cards and get yourself a debit card.
A debit card.
To protect yourself in terms of that right now, because by the time you pay, you exhaust maybe 50-60% of what your credit card permits you to spend, then they lick you with that interest. you say, my goodness, you wish you did not exhaust some of your expenses on the credit card by the time when you see it come back to you. And as I think Glenroy as well as Carter said, in terms of financial literacy and explaining to the Bahamian people, the opportunities, you need to open up the floodgates for the Bahamian people for us to survive.
Yes.
When you go to the United States, there are opportunities where you could go to get small business loans, where you have banks you go to get loans for to purchase a house or property or anything that you want to do for yourself. The opportunities have shrunk since 1967 for the average Bahamian for them in order for them to survive. Particularly what is surprising, I'd say from 2000, particularly as we are going further into the future, most Bahamians figure that it is not a future for the small man for them to survive. That's why you see ASUs have played a significant role for persons to survive, pool their monies over a 3 or 6 month or a 12-month span for them to at least survive, for them to either buy
you know
a
what,
house.
Obi Roberts, that is still a risk. And that is why, we need surer ways to be able to get our monies to work for us. I'm telling
you know why it's a risk? Because there's no other opportunity for those persons to go and when they qualify, be given the opportunity to receive a loan for X amount of money that they should choose to desire. So Bahamians have to increase their risk in order for them to survive.
Oh, I tell you, gentlemen, I thank you. And that is a whole other show. Truly,
Yes,
we could just develop, and I think we need to explore that because, it's disheartening. And like I said, that is why that company Arawak X last week, they got my attention because I like what they were saying or are saying, because we truly, my God, once and for all, we truly need access. The majority of the population needs access.
SPDC. SPDC.
What is the SPDC again?
That's a small business development center. Take advantage of it. There are opportunities
yes,
there.
They're offering grants. You're right. They're offering business
grants. A part of the problem too, Shenique, is a lot of Bahamians have this grandiose idea about when they start a business. They think that when they start out of the gate, they're supposed to be a Walmart size. There's a little level in the lump. You have to start from a small beginnings. Don't despise them. You could start off from somewhere. Steve Jobs started off in his garage. All right. Virgin Holidays started off in different things. Started off in a small hotel. Leverage.
I agree. Glenroy, you will be fined for jumping in on me like that. Garth, you be quiet because the show I have to wrap. Stephen, I want to get just take a dip, Garth. I want to get to a few comments. Stephen Ferguson says, Shenique, you speak just like a coalition. Exactly why the team is pushing on the ground in their campaign for the win. Stephen, you all send me, I can send you all the invoice and you all pay me for that commercial you just had. Gano Davis Hebron says, but there is not interest once it's paid off in a month, right? Correct, Obi? Well, yeah, but boy, Gano, and who was in the financial services, Obi? Who pays off their credit card in a month? That only a certain class, right, Obi?
Only certain class.
Yeah, here's Karen Gardner. That is why this is what we need to teach in school. She means financial literacy. Exactly, because it's finance has always been sort of that subject that like yes, Obi?
I wanted to mention to Kano, the thing also, some of these banks give loans to persons who don't qualify for them, knowing fully
predatory lending.
Knowing fully well that they're going to come back and repossess some of the stuff that they put up for collateral to qualify for the loan. So that's another thing too. That that these banks have also played predator on many Bahamians as well.
My God, it's piracy, man. Melissa Miller says, yes, Glenroy. And we also need a government to finally be on the people's side to help make this a collective and successful effort. Let me see if I can get to one or two more comments. Keisha Woolery says, I just got on, but isn't that what she just said it, Glenroy. The SPDC is all about helping businesses to get access. Listen, guys, and it's true. I'll tell you this. I did forget it for a second. She is right. Glenroy is right. I'll tell you this, guys. And those are grants that are given. Grants meaning not loans. So listen, take advantage of what's out there. There are a number of other areas as well that are out there that are willing to help fund your business idea. Now, of course, you apply yourself, meaning you go get your plan, and they'll walk you through it to tell you what it is you need. And you get that done. It is, we can do more. And I like Glenroy from the time you started coming on the show. You always say, you know what, get involved. learn what government is saying, and then I also like the thing of not leaning your entire weight on government as well. Get out there and begin being responsible and accountable for you. Government is there to make sure policies are in place, change the banking system that is archaic and ain't helping a soul, change other systems, improve utilities, do all that stuff.
And Shenique,
let's do what we have to do. Obi, you have 30 seconds. Yes, sir.
no, Shenique, just like for one example, right? For one example, you have a particular bank here, Canadian bank, that charge you X amount of money for cashing checks at their facility if you don't have an account. But if you go down to Barbados, that same bank ain't charging you.
Oh my God! Well, how we could allow this? How can we own it? You were saying the very same bank in Barbados.
I hold it back. I try not to get it up.
So these are the things that have me annoyed when I see things that happen here that don't happen in other Caribbean destinations.
But how is it that we have allowed this? And who can step in and stop it? You can't be in Barbados one rule and the Bahamas another rule.
Us. The problem is us. All of us raise our voices and it'll change. All of us raise our voices, it will change.
We had two governments for 50 years who allowed the people of the Bahamas to be exploited. End of the story. Just own up.
No. We need more people educated.
But Garth Rosborough, again, Garth, 1 second. If we make noise and say, listen, this banking system does not work for us, there's no way a bank can be here in the Bahamas charging fees because we don't have accounts there. And when you go to Barbados, you could go in 1 million times a day and cash your check and there's no fee attached to it. Then we have to speak up. There's no getting around that. It's us. Go ahead, Garth, 30 seconds.
Shenique, we had the Penny Savings Bank right on Wolf Road by Bahamas Academy for years. Where that went to? We had the Bodie Bank.
You all wasn't supporting it.
We had Bodie Bank. These were institutions of promise that should have grown in our country that were decimated, man. These two, I heard Glenn Roy say very well that we need financial education in the schools. Well, who's the government who's responsible for the schools? It ain't me. I'm responsible. I ain't no prime minister. But we had PLP and FDM prime ministers who could have instituted that. They could have instituted Bahamian culture and Bahamian history. And we don't have it in our schools. Who they talking to? We ain't stupid and we ain't blind. Come on, man. Y'all take the blame for what you need to take the blame for and get it right. That's all the Bahamian people are asking for an opportunity to do better. Please.
That's it. A hand up, not a handout, a hand up. Alexander Sturb says the Grand Bahama Port Authority doesn't believe in small or micro business. The fees to start alone are bogus. Wow, I just can imagine what they're doing there. Ebony McFall says brick and mortar businesses are slowly fizzling away. Online businesses are the way of the future. And that's another thing. Begin thinking out the box. You're right. Online businesses, the virtual space is the new commerce center. It is. And so start thinking outside the box on that level. Also, let me see if I can get to one or two more comments. Okay, guys, listen, we don't see it there, but I thank you, gentlemen, so much. Obviously, Garth is giving us ocean view of Exuma. Garth,
he brought you down the waters.
Man, living it up. Living it up, man.
Obi totally living it up. All he needs to do is just set the camera and dive in the pool or in the ocean, something. But listen, I thank each of you very much. Garth Rosborough in Exuma. Continue showing us that view. Obi Roberts, I thank you so much. Glenn Roy Pratt, I thank you. And social media audience, I thank you very much for streaming.
Thank you.
For your participation, and also just for being very active and with your comments, etc. Thank you all so much. Do share the live stream, share the video. We will see you again this week. As I promised, a very, very busy week on tap. And so we will see you again perhaps tomorrow for another live. And we have a special interview that we're working on. I don't want to say nothing much about it right yet, but it's very, very interesting and quite historic for our country. And so please stay tuned and continue to watch the page, like the page, invite a friend to like the page, several friends, in fact, and also share this show today with several of your friends. Everybody have a great evening. See you all on Wednesday.
I need a little conversation. You need